Now, Hopsin is a rapper who blew up in 2010 after he dropped his Sag My Pants song that was a direct shot at multiple rappers like Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, and Soulja Boy. Since then, Hopsin has been building his legacy in the underground by dropping multiple albums and, of course, his highly successful Illmind series. But for the past 2 years, there's been a lot of conversations about whether or not Hopsin's musical style has changed, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. Now, before I start, for this video, I've got a special guest to help me talk about this topic. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey guys, it's CDTVProductions here, also known as CDTV the G from SCOTLAND, and I'm here to speak on this topic with Blackie. So if you don't know me, I run a YouTube channel that either just hit 100,000 subscribers or is almost there, depending on when this video goes up. But I also make videos discussing hip hop. I've got a series called Best Verses, where I look at the best verses from certain rappers, and I've got a pretty popular series called Worst Rappers in the Game, and the title pretty much explains itself there. I am also a pretty big fan of Hopsin, which is why me and Blackie have decided to do this video together. So now that I've introduced myself, I'll let him continue.
Now, the evolution of Hopsin's music is quite interesting. Hopsin went from an artist who consciously distanced himself from the word trap, and now Hopsin's music contains a lot of and is inspired by a lot of trap. And if you know anything about Hopsin, then you know that the way he made his instrumentals was extremely one-sided, and it even got to a point in his career where his fans were asking him to start working with other producers because all his beats sounded the same. Hopsin's Raw album had an extremely organic, dark, and rough sound to it. A lot of people started to turn to Hopsin's music because Hopsin was an artist who was now starting to get a big platform in the underground scene of hip-hop, and a lot of people fell in love with him because he had no filters. If you know anything about Hopsin, then you know that he's always been known for dissing other rappers.
Yeah, I mean, the title of the album was Raw. It described exactly how the production and lyrics would sound. Everything about most of the instrumentals was just gritty, and even though some of the instruments he used sounded kinda cheap, it gave his music a pretty unique sound and did stick to that underground vibe he was going for. A lot of the beats were themed around dark pianos, sitars, and synths, giving it that real underground sound.
A lot of people saw Hopsin as a mindless character who didn't think about the consequences of taking shots at every single rapper he didn't like, and this is something Hopsin himself was extremely unapologetic about. Now, Raw and Knock Madness were both two albums that were extremely connected in the way that Hopsin never broke the pattern of how his songs sounded musically, and you can hear a lot of the similarities in the beats. The sinister vibe Hopsin brought to his music definitely transcended into the production as well, and that was definitely one of the biggest aspects that Hopsin kept himself consistent with throughout his career, and that was of course for the good and for the bad, considering some people actually liked how predictable Hopsin was with his music because they simply connected with that raw and underground sound he's always brought to the table, while some other people thought that Hopsin should break the pattern of how he's making his music because of course nobody wants to hear the same song over and over again.
And that's not to say he didn't experiment a bit more on Knock Madness, it's just that when he goes for a lighter sound, it results in tracks like Good Guys Get Left Behind, a track I personally only listen to when I need a good laugh. That one just wasn't good.
The big break of Hopsin's evolution was when he dropped his Pound Syndrome album. His Crown Me single was one of the few moments in his career where Hopsin actually decided to rap on a trap beat.
I'm calm and ill, but still drop bombs I kill. You know the deal with my godly skills. You wanna jog the field in my shoes, there's a lot to feel. It won't happen, you cannot be real. Man, there's so many rappers that wanna catch my fade. So many.
Now, even Hopsin decided to speak about the backlash he got from his fans because most of his fans were not used to hearing Hopsin rap on a trap beat.
Yo, man, I just heard my new fucking single, man. I think I'm selling out, man. What the fuck, dude? Like, what the hell is wrong with me? I'm not the old Hop, man. What the fuck? What happened to me, man? Damn.
But as time went on, Hopsin has started to embrace that he doesn't have to be stuck in one lane, because the way most people looked at Hopsin was that he was an artist who never incorporated any mainstream aspects a quote-unquote turn-up song has, and that kind of put him in the box of being that rapper that just raps about life but no one is really listening because it's not catchy and it's not fun.
As a performer, as an artist, it is painful to watch other artists that I do shows with, you know, whether it's a festival or whatever, when they have a show that just sets the crowd off, where the whole crowd's just like, oh, they're going crazy over this song because this beat is just driving them. You can just tell it's all the beat, and they're just like, oh shit. And when your songs don't do that, and you're over here spitting this, man, I hate rap, but if the shoe fits weird, I'll become like that, and they'll sing it, but I want both worlds, you know? I want to have people just listening and singing along and not bobbing their head, and they're just like, they're so getting emotional, and I want to have a fucking party on stage, you know?
And that's not to say that you can't rap about life and at the same time make it listenable, but the good qualities a fun turn-up song has is good to learn from because you can always implement it in your music to a certain extent. And we've even seen from the music he's been dropping recently, songs like Bout the Business had an extremely strong trap influence on the instrumental side of things, and although Hopsin still kept his lyricism up to par, the change in the sound was definitely a big one. And another song we can talk about is Die This Way that didn't completely go all the way trap, although the instrumental on the song has some elements from trap. The melody and the hook on the song was definitely a big improvement for Hopsin, since we know that hooks haven't really been his strong side.
However, the big breaking point for most Hopsin fans came when he released his song titled False Advertisement. This was the closest that Hop has ever got so far to having a full-on trap sound. I personally really enjoy the song and the change, but a lot of people didn't appreciate the super trappy instrumental and the lead up to the hook, which was very reminiscent of Drake. I liked how it sounded because I was finally happy to have a Hopsin bridge slash hook that sounded very good, and I liked the more polished sound, but for a lot of people the commercial appeal just wasn't acceptable. I will admit this was a big change from the underground sound he used to cherish, but it could be said that this has all changed on his newest album, No Shame. People say this album is a perfect blend of new Hopsin and old Hopsin, and I have to agree. Tracks like Right Here and I Must Be On Something sound like they would fit in if Hopsin made a sequel to his Raw album. So for most fans who say he has changed recently with singles like Bout the Business and False Advertisement, I think they'll view No Shame as a pleasant step in the right direction. So personally, I think Hopsin has changed, but I don't think this should be seen as a negative. For me, it's pretty much just evolution, and I'm happy with the path he's going down musically. Some people may hate this new sound, but he's really not going against what he used to believe in, which is what you will see a lot of his fans saying. Some even said his new songs sound like the No Words skit he done, which is just not true. I think this new style sounds cleaner. It admittedly does have more commercial appeal, which I don't see as a bad thing, and he's still keeping the same lyrical style he had 5 or so years ago. Now, I personally hate this song, but he still has songs like Happy Ending, which show that he still has that kind of childish quality to him, which is something he's always really had. I mean, if you listen to some of his unreleased songs, he's got stuff like My Christmas. Happy Ending reminds me of his unreleased song My Christmas. They're both very bad in my opinion, and they have horrible hooks, but that song shows you that he's still the same guy. And if anything, his lyrics have improved. His multi-syllable rhyming is insane, and with each new song, personally I think he has less and less corny lyrics with each new song that comes out. And he still does have tracks like All Your Fault, which mixes his old and new style of production with a very You Are My Enemy type vibe lyrically, so it's not like the quote-unquote old Hopsin is gone. So to sum it up, I think he has changed, but I feel that it's for the better. And like I said, No Shame exists now. It's hard to deny that on this album, he has the same talent in his flow, lyrical ability, and storytelling that he had on Raw.
Now to finish this video off, did Hopsin change? Just like CDTVProductions says, Hopsin definitely changed, but is it really not for the good? To me, I think it's hard to deny the fact that Hopsin really is just getting better in every possible way. A lot of people might not like the fact that he's making music that appeals to a wider audience, but considering the lyrical ability Hopsin always has carried throughout his career, he's experimenting much more and stepping outside of his box and actually rapping on instrumentals that sound better musically. And just like CDTV says, it's pretty much the natural evolution of an artist who's been working hard years upon years. Hopsin was afraid to try different things because he didn't want to quote-unquote sell out, but in reality this change was exactly what Hopsin needed for his growth as a musician. Now hopefully you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, because I had a lot of fun making it. Definitely check out CDTVProductions channel, link is in in the description below.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed everything I had to say here. Me and Blackie have been working on this collab for a long time because we know that a lot of our subscribers have wanted to see it. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you appreciated me being on here, and I just want to thank Blackie for having me on this video. So thanks to you, man.
By the way, apart from this collab video, me and CDTVProductions just dropped another collab video on his channel. It's on the screen right now, so definitely check that out if you haven't. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. This channel is all about bringing together people like you who enjoy music and start a discussion on different topics like this. And of course, like the video if you enjoyed it, follow me on Twitter at BlackySpeakz, and I'm out.